Hey everyone, it's Frankie-Lou. I'm coming to you today from one of my happy places. This is one of the greenhouses that we have here at the Grow To Gather Homestead. And in about 2 weeks, this thing is going to be full of seedlings and plugs and a whole bunch of propagation experiments. So it's going to be working for me in the next 2 weeks. So now it's time for me to work for it. Now I use my greenhouse for storing pots during the winter. I find it's a very convenient place to keep them. So that's one of the things I have to do. I'm going to have to pull all these pots out of here and give them a wash. Now, if I had a disease that I saw go through my plants, I would be really stringent about this, and I would take these pots and I would soak them in a bleach solution of 9 parts water to 1 part bleach. But as I don't hardly ever get any disease here on the homestead with the practices we use with companion planting and pest control here, I usually find that I don't have a huge issue with it. So I'm gonna, and also the other thing is I have a septic system, and the least amount of bleach I can put down there, the better. But I literally have thousands of pots here, and that would take forever to clean with hot bleachy water, and I don't have time for that. So if I notice an obvious problem, I either throw the pot out, because as I said, I do have thousands that I've reused over the years, and I just give them a nice hot water clean with some vinegar. Okay, so that's one thing. Got to get the pots ready. So I'm going to pull all these pots out and slowly do that over the next couple of weeks. But I also have to get the greenhouse ready. Now, those of you who watched my fall bed prep know that I'm a huge advocate for maintaining litter on the beds so that I protect the beneficial insects that live in my garden. Okay, and I'm not going to do any bed prep out there for quite a while. Not until I see lots of ladybugs emerging. That's when I start my bed prep. But in here, I strip the ground of all the plant material prior to winter. One of the reasons for that is I do find that if I'm going to have a pest problem in my garden, it's going to be in the greenhouse before anywhere else. So I do remove the plant matter from this area. I just store it into the garden for other good animals. And then what I do is I cause a forced emergence about 2 weeks before I'm going to start using it. Now what I'm doing here is I know that a lot of the critters that I don't like have laid eggs in my soil. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to water this soil. I'm going to heat the greenhouse artificially for a week. Now what that'll do is it'll cause the critters to wake up and come to the surface. At that point, I turn the heat off, I open all the doors, and I let it freeze again. I still have freezing temperatures here at night, so this way it'll basically fake out the bugs that I don't want in here, like the aphids and the thrips and stuff like that, that are still maybe living in the soil, and flea beetles, ugh. And that will at least break 1 cycle for me. I find it's hugely beneficial. I do it every year. Another thing I do to help with that is I use Diatomaceous Earth. I'm going to mask up for Diatomaceous Earth because it is a silicate. Diatomaceous Earth is a natural substance that occurs when diatoms in the sea die. They have a silicone body. They're a single-celled organism with a silicone body. When they die, and then they create a fossil bed, and that's what's mined to make diatomaceous earth. So it is a natural substance, but it's a silicate. You don't want to breathe it in. So mask up. It's very soft to the touch for us, okay, but it's like, I'll take this off, but it's like broken glass for arthropod as it crawls across it. So I obviously don't want to get this right on the leaves where my good insects are going to be, like my bees and stuff. But what I want to do in here now is sprinkle it on the soil after I water it and when I heat up, and it should capture some of those larvae as they emerge and take that population down 2 ways. So I'm taking down the pest population by forcing emergence. Diatomaceous Earth will take care of a good portion of them, and when I let the cold air in here, that'll also, because it's still quite freezing at night here, that'll take care of a significant cycle. Okay, so that's the pest control that I do. Now I also have mason bee hives in here. I take those out, okay, and I keep them in a cold spot outside, because I don't want them emerging too early, right? They're not supposed to come up for a long time yet. So once I start heating the greenhouse, I've got about 5 different mason bee homes in here. And if you're interested in that, we have a video about it. But I'll take these out so that the little babies that are living in here don't emerge, because I don't want them emerging for a couple months yet. Okay, so that's another thing we do. Then I have to clean the greenhouse. I'm not a big fan of cleaning any house, but I guess if the greenhouse isn't too bad, so I'll be wiping down all the walls to get all the water, hard water stains off of it. And that'll make sure that I get lots of good light in here when I want it. I've designed this greenhouse so that each of the panels can be removed and cleaned individually or replaced individually. The reason why is, okay, so this is polycarbonate. This is a dirty piece of polycarbonate, but it's polycarbonate. That's what I've used to build this greenhouse with. It's fantastic for dealing with the horrible hailstorms that I have here in where I live in Zone 3 outside of Calgary. And it also, it's very, very flexible for the wind. I find, like, I just love this stuff, and it's easy to work with. You can cut it with your saw. You don't have to get special glass cutting tools. So it's a win-win-win-win for me. I love this stuff. But it does have, I don't see those gaps in there. Well, remember how we talked about mason bees and they are a wonderful thing. They sometimes like to have their little larvae in there. My cat wants to join us in here. And another thing that happens is sometimes algae can grow in here. And I can see I have one roof panel in particular I'm going to have to remove. And I'm going to have to use a power washer or a strong hose to blast through here and get it cleaned out. It's a bit of a pain, but not as much of a pain as it's shattering because it's glass and the hail comes. Because trust me, this thing has lived now through about 20 hailstorms, and I haven't had to replace any panels yet. And I don't think you could say that if you had a glass greenhouse. Okay, so you can see here that this roof panel really did get a lot of water and algae and stuff in it over the winter. It might seem like I need to replace it, but honestly, I know that if I give this a really good blast with the pressure washer, that's going to come clean for me, and I'll just put it back on. So, one more thing. I have my min-max thermometer here. I don't know if you've seen one of these before, but it records the maximum temperature that your the maximum temperature that your greenhouse reaches during the day and the minimum temperature that it reaches at night. And you just reset it. So I want to make sure that I'm keeping it pretty consistently above 15 degrees here, 10 degrees at night, just so that I can force that emergence. And this is a really handy thing when you are setting a greenhouse up to see how cold it's getting at night, because unless you're crazy, I have done it, run out and see what the temperature is in the greenhouse in the middle of the night. I don't have to do that anymore because I have this, and it tells me how cold it gets, so I know when it's ready to bring my plants out here. So as you can hear, I'm going to be very busy, but that's good because there's not as much going on in terms of gardening right now. So this is a nice, it's warm in here, it's sunny, it's beautiful. My cat loves it, she wants in too. Okay, quick recap then. What I've got to do, and I highly recommend if you want to deal with things in your greenhouse in advance, it's a great thing because you're going to have less problems later. Companion planting is going to help you, but why not take care of some of the problems to start? So we're going to plug up all these holes. I'm going to use that because I have vent holes, so I'm going to make sure it's all sealed up. I'm going to use some bubble wrap and a whole bunch of other stuff I have around. I just want to make sure it's totally sealed off to maintain the heat. Turn on the heat. Leave the heat on for about a week. Water the garden. So that actually helps some of the eggs and stuff to, they're used to having some water in there. Sprinkle the soil with diatomaceous earth so that when emergence occurs, you're going to get some of those buggies that you don't want with taking care of with the diatomaceous earth. Remove my beneficial insect cases in here, like my mason bees. I'll put them back in once it's all cleaned and ready to go. Turn the heat off after a week to allow the cold, and I'm going to open all the doors to allow the cold to really come in and refreeze everything. And then to clean everything. I got to wash down all the walls. Okay, so that's a lot of work. It's a good thing I have 2 weeks because it's going to take me that long to clean all these pots and clean all these walls because I'm really not a fan of cleaning, but got to do what you got to do if you want to have a healthy garden. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I love hearing from you guys, knowing what you want to know. And I hope you have a wonderful day and you take this chance to grow together today. Bye.